Welcome to Profit Channels. This is my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor and I don't give financial advice. Please consider this video entertainment. Today I am talking about Diamondback Energy, or FANG. They are an independent oil and natural gas company. Exploitation, unconventional onshore oil and natural gas reserves. That's an upstream company. 2.79% dividend yield, 10.21 price to earnings. They've got a pretty steady quarterly net income. United States. We've got increasing debt, but steady free cash flow, and overall the debt situation does not look bad. I'm going to get into some of the charts before I dive deeper on the financials. So let's look at FANG, or Diamondback Energy, divided by the S&P 500, and let's bump out to a monthly. So we've got this channel here. I'm using this as the bottom this week here rather than this one. It makes my midpoint line up real nicely. If I go back to the weekly, so we have this nice midpoint line where we are here just touching it. If we were to move this down to the bottom, or the bottom of this week, we'd have that's real nice. So maybe we have further downside to go to bounce off this midpoint line. If I look at our fixed range volume profile, so it just shows you where our point of control is. So this is the price level with the most sales or relative, and we are far below that. If I jump into the FANG stock, we're going to look at it on a weekly basis. Let me get this fixed range volume profile off. All right, so here we are. We've come down through our moving averages, and on the weekly, we've just been banging off of this 200 period moving average and haven't been able to break through. If I go down to the daily, you've got our moving averages all converging, so the 50 and the 100 are together. And we're bouncing off the 2, and now between the 50 and the 1, it's still pretty neutral. If I go to the 2 hour, we have a gap down here at about $130. So that is something I'm concerned about. But our moving averages, we're bouncing off all 3 of the moving averages right now, and threatening to turn back up. If I go back to the weekly, let's get rid of these moving averages and look at our volume profiles. So on the weekly, we are in between our points of control. So short term, we have one above us, medium term below us, and then long term, we've got our point of control right here around $130, which is where that gap was on the 2 hour. If I come into the daily, now we've got short and medium term points of control below us and longer term above us. Let's close these up and jump back to the weekly. And I've got a channel something like this. And I am cutting it off right here at this bottom, not this dip down here, but up here. So the top line is real pretty. Our midpoint, it's okay. That should be a touch there. It just hits it there, going on both candles. And so we are up here now in this channel. If I take this down to a daily, and we have a channel something like this that we've been working our way down in. We've been threatening. Let's close this one up. So we kind of breaking out there, but didn't all the way. Our midpoint line, we got nice touches there. So that midpoint line is really good. So we're at the top of this channel, which is usually not something I like, but we also are cutting down in this channel kind of like this. So, I'm expecting us to get down here to this 130 mark and then move up. But if we break, so this channel, kind of like this line and this line, we could bounce in here and break out. And so if we break out, I think that's a break out and we confirm. So break out above this line and then the next day continue. We could be headed for a breakout, or we could drop down here and pick up that $130 gap. All right, let's close this stuff up. Let's just see here. Can this be? Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Okay. If I do a retracement from the bottom here to the top, we're at the 0.5. The 786 or the 618 here is up around the 130. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get down here to this 2-hour gap. But again, we could be breaking out of this line as well. Okay. If I do a longer term, all right, so now let's look at this weekly. I'm going from the bottom right here to the top up here. So we have bottoms here, but then we got higher highs, and then we got a bottom here. I'm kind of using this one. I like it to the top to the bottom. We got our 618 is real pretty. The 0.5, the 382, the 236. These lines all work really good. And this 786 is around 134. But if let's go back here. The 618 line is where that 130-ish is gap. All right. Now, if I do an extension, and let's hit the daily Fibonacci extension from the bottom to the top. And so this bottom, I'm saying, is the 618 retracement that you just looked at. So if I say that's the bottom, this works out real nice. We've got this 236 is real pretty. The 0.5 is real pretty. 618 is okay, but look at the 786. It can go all the way up. So I really like this entry point down here around 130. All right, if I do a longer term extension, so the bottom here where we did the retracement to the top to the bottom, we got this 382 or 382, 236. These are just real pretty lines. So I think that is the long-term bottom. Okay, now let's look at a couple other charts. This is the weekly for the parabolic SAR in the super trend, and we have mixed signals. We've got a RSI that's trying to get above the midpoint line. We've got a MACD that's crossed over to the positive and trying to get above the midpoint line, and a stochastic that's moving up. If I jump in here to the daily, now I've got two buy signals. We've got a RSI again that's trying to break above the midpoint line. It's kind of a little bit of a downward trend, and maybe we could loop down here. Same thing on the MACD. Looks like we're a little bit in a downswing, and our stochastic is heading down. So that's where I think we're going to get that little bit of a pullback to maybe 130. If I look at our RSI Bollinger Band strategy, we've just been bouncing along this moving average on the weekly. Money flow index is generally up. Squeeze momentum is back at neutral. And ADX is saying no trend. If I jump into the daily, here we are again. We've been outside of the Bollinger Band and climbed back in and just bouncing off this midpoint line. Money flow index is dipping down for the moment. So it's been a kind of downward trend and momentarily down. Squeeze momentum is a little bit up and no trend here on the ADX as we're below 20. All right. So if I get in here and I look at key stats, so we've been increased, so about 292 million shares in Q3 2024, and it brought that down to about 289. So that's positive. The shares, at least quarter over quarter, are going down. Our price to earnings are average. Our price to sales here are a little on the low side, which is good. So low is good in these valuations. Price to cash flow is looking average, and our price to book ratio is relatively cheap. Return on assets are starting to turn up. Return on equity is kind of in an uptrend, and our return on invested capital is a little bit of an uptrend. And then finally, our net margin it's down a little in Q2, but generally an uptrend. If I jump into the income statements, we've got nice looking revenue. Let's jump down here. We've got pretty good looking net income, quarter over quarter, down a little bit here recently. Balance sheet. So we've got assets are up quite a bit. So is liabilities, but not very reasonable. And if I look at the cash flows, we have positive cash flow. You can see right here, they've been investing a lot of money into the company. So this is investment activities. So let me jump into this. All right. So I just asked Copilot. All right. Expanded buyback authorization. So equity buyback program they started. Recent buybacks, 3 million shares. Let's see. insider activity recently. We've got other insiders, about 1.5 million worth of shares in the last 3 months. And if we come down here, they're acquiring some stuff and doing asset swaps. So I think this is, keep an eye on this one. I'm looking for the $130 pullback. Hope you like it. Give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you later.